What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Let's Talk Live. Shadowfox, how you doing, man?
Man, what's going on? What's going on? I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a minute. I've had a little hiatus, but ready
Sometimes
to see some
it is needed.
Yes,
sometimes
yes,
it is very much needed. So, as you can see, we're going to be playing Daemon X Machina and talking about stuff that absolutely has nothing to do with Daemon X Machina. So,
it's the way it works around here.
Yeah, that's pretty much how this goes. So, first question: did you watch the Halo Paramount Plus episode 1?
No, and I need to. I'm woefully behind on that. I need to get on that like ASAP. So
I'll tell you right now, the first episode is an hour, so just be prepared for that. Also, I will go on and tell you non-spoiler field thoughts, impressions, as it were, because I am going to do this on the Fresh Take podcast. I didn't hate it, but I'm scared. I'm scared, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm scared. First reason why I'm scared is because they did take the helmet off. They should not have done that. I still believe they should not have done that. They should not have taken that helmet off.
They really took the helmet off?
They did. But when they do it in the episode, it makes sense as to why he did it. They made it make sense in the episode. I just don't think they should have did it. I don't think they should have ever did it. But that's just me as a gamer coming from the gaming side. They said this is a different timeline and a different team because they called the team Silver Team. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, his team is Blue Team. I'm like, you know what? I forgot. They said this is a different thing. So I'm like, okay, all right. Let me take the gamer in me out of it. But the problem is I read some of them books. So I know some of the expanded lore. They do take stuff from that expanded lore. They just pretended like they didn't. There's a couple things they have taken.
Yeah, that's like Pillar of Autumn, I think, had a lot of the stuff from the expanded lore from either the comics or the books. Which is as long as they keep the mantra alive as far as like all the old rampant AI stuff, I'm good. Like I don't need Hollywood blockbuster quality, anything really. Just stay true to all of the themes. Like don't give me a human that pretends to be a brute or anything foolish like that. Like I just need the Covenant will be Covenant.
Which to their credit, when you see them come through, they bought that life. That's all I'm saying. Covenant bought that life. They do. That's what I'm saying. There's some things you can tell they took from the lore, and there are other things they're like, we're gonna change this. And I don't know if it's for the better or not. So I can't tell you after the first episode if it's for the better or not. As far as the CG is concerned, do not go in there expecting MCU level CG. Don't go in there expecting that.
It's a TV show. Like
but the thing is, it doesn't look real, but I think it works in its favor. You know how you can tell the CG and it's bad, but it actually kind of looks realistic because you think that's how they would actually look.
Yeah, I'm with
like that.
As long as it can be like Battle Angel, I'm okay like with that kind of a mix. That'll work for me versus Final Fantasy like Spirits Within, but Spirits Within and the special effects only look like Spirits Within.
No, I'll say probably like Battle Angel a little bit. Battle Angel is better, but it's a little bit below that. It's not on nothing's gonna hit Infinity War Endgame to me. Ain't nothing hitting that.
Like, I don't know if you watched this yet, but I was impressed that the pilot for Naomi had the fight in there.
Yeah,
like
the
I
pilot
thought
it wasn't that
was
bad.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't going to be in there at all, and they were just going to kind of like reference it. And seeing her walk through and watch Superman, they did a lot of fakery and cameras being in different places or whatever, so you couldn't really see. But just them spending the money to make that happen, I'm like, wow, this is an expensive pilot. So as long as they could do something like that with a limited budget, I'm okay with it. You can see, it doesn't have to have big Netflix money or anything like that. I know this is a Paramount production or whatever, but you're not going to get,
you're not getting Star Trek. You're not getting Star Trek Next Generation money. Like the Picard stuff and Star Trek Discovery. I don't think they're going to do that for this season. Maybe next season, because it already got picked up for season 2. So maybe next season, because you kind of have to, because DC and Disney have upped the ante on what you do with your TV shows now, your streaming service shows. You're gonna have to spend some money. If you depending on what you got, you're gonna have to spend some money.
I think this is what Microsoft should have did towards the end of the 360 to Xbox One. That little bridge, like right at the tail end of the 7th generation, as they started the 8th, they were really big on TV. Instead of like, hey, we're gonna make our own channel and shoehorn it on a box, they should have did this partnership then, and it would have been cheaper, and Microsoft was willing to spend more money back then for something like this. So
that's because Satella wasn't there yet.
The CG wasn't. Like now at this point, you could probably do just about anything with CG. So after DC, basically after Disney bought all of ILM, they kind of opened the doors, and you can do studios all over the planet now instead of just going to Hollywood, Silicon Valley to get it done.
I mean, they'll be in Atlanta and New Orleans and Fayetteville all the time now.
All they need is a green screen and a couple of mocap suits, and they can make it happen. So it's like,
and a warehouse.
Yep, you don't need too much money now to make a lot of that stuff happen. As far as booking that stuff and having it done in post. So, and with there's so many developers. I mean CGI developers, whatever, around the world. I mean, you just ship a file, ship the finished file to them, and whatever. You can have it done, whatever country for a way cheaper price than having to funnel it all and have it all done in house in California. So I definitely think that has raised the bar significantly as far as like visual quality goes. Like, because we're talking about you're talking about 4K now and higher. A lot of these movies are shot in 16 or 8K at this point. So
they're shot in 8, so when they take them to theater, it looks right, but then they're easy to scale for like TVs and streaming and all that stuff. Because once again, while everybody loves to holler about 8K, you ain't got no 8K TVs yet.
Nah, and the ones that are around, they're not going to be feasible for what you want to do. And why would you want, as much as 4K is great,
hardly it's not being utilized.
At the best viewing distance, distinguishing really good 1080p and 4K is still kind of trivial at this point, unless you're talking about wide color gamut or something to that effect, because that's the only thing extra pixels are going to give you beyond high definition at this point, unless you're super close. If you have a display, obviously, versus a TV, you're talking about sitting more than 6 feet away. It's going to be negligible to you because those pixels are already tiny enough as it is. Once you start talking about 8K and 16K, you're like, at this point, it's whatever you're shooting and whatever that original quality of whatever was shot was is going to be the difference. It's not going to be the display itself. So I think right now, I think the screensavers on my TV are higher quality than stuff that I'm watching. So
that's also, people got to think about how your viewing room is set up as well, which that doesn't come. People don't think about that a lot. So, and that brings me to my obvious question: why in the hell Nintendo hadn't gave me my Star Fox anime yet?
It should happen. With them, they keep playing around with Universal. It's probably going to happen because they're real buddy with them.
I
So
mean, look, as long as that Mario movie is good, and let's be fair, Illumination is very good at first movies. We're not gonna talk about sequels, but very good at first movies.
yeah,
So as long as that Mario movie is good, I'm good. The only thing is, I'm sitting back and I'm looking. I'm like, y'all could have had Fire Emblem anime out to smooth people over from Game of Thrones. When it ended, y'all could have had. They should have been had Zelda out. I would have been had Zelda.
yeah.
I would have been had Zelda.
The
I
thing
would have
that
based it on.
bothers
I would have
me,
used the manga, all the manga that they've had done officially done.
yeah,
I'd just do it off of that. That'll be my seasons.
Fire Emblem is more annoying because they've already created the models, and
Yeah,
with the cell shading textures on top. So it's like
because I think
that
it's
can be
Production
scaled
ID
up.
that does it. So just have them do it.
Yep.
I mean, I think they handle the cutscenes and stuff and all that for the games anyway. So just have them do they do movies. They do
Yeah.
animated movies and animated series. Just have them do it.
At this point, you don't even have to hire a team to animate it. At this point, the models are already there, so you can kind of do a CGI version of it with the cell
Yeah.
shading. You don't even have to do. I mean, if you wanted to pay a team to
I
draw
mean,
one and make it, that's fine. I'm pretty sure you could probably still afford it. But
they can afford what I'm talking about. They can afford.
yeah.
Now, I ain't saying do a live action. I'm saying,
Well, no live action. It would either be CGI or actual anime.
yeah.
So
Which Nintendo can afford to do that.
yeah.
They messed up. They messed up when they told everybody how much cash they got on hand. You can afford to do that.
Too much in the bank.
Yeah.
It's such a small company. They're so small. I'm like, bro. I'm like, they posted more profits than these other companies you talking about. They in the
made profit off
green.
Wii U, and
Exactly.
they tried to, and the gaming industry tried to destroy that one.
Just yeah, we got. Should we talk about that? I don't know. Why are people selectively? Why are they intentionally trying to forget that happened?
Because people try to have short-term memory loss because they don't want to. They don't want anything to destroy the narrative that they built up in their heads.
It happened with GameCube.
Yeah,
and they were, I mean, intentionally bashing GameCube.
The lie with GameCube was because it was on mini disc. I'm like, that makes literally no sense.
Well, the games can't fit. I'm like, wait, what? How do you just do another disc or you dual layer it? It is a DVD still.
Yeah, I mean, like it's Microsoft and Sony has double disc on everything, and you're mad because. Are you kidding me?
Like coming straight from PlayStation with games that had up to 5 discs. Are we really having this conversation right now? And it was all bullshit anyway because we saw what Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4 were on that system. So Resident Evil 0 also. It didn't make any sense. So and at that point when you were talking about games and stuff like that, like those assets were not that expensive for that system. It was majority like Redbook audio and stuff like that was taking up the majority of the space, and FMVs, which on a 3D system of that caliber anyway, why are you doing FMVs? So, because I mean, it clearly was more capable than PS2 at the time. But then you're talking about Wii.
Nobody want to talk about that though. They don't want to talk about how GameCube was stronger than the PS2. Nobody wants to talk about that.
I mean, like exceptionally, like by a country mile. Just by default, but by having like, dude, you have an actual GPU inside. You have hardware, shadows, and lighting. You have a full engine for that versus, hey, it's got to be done on the CPU and interpreted by the CPU, and we need RAM for that. Like that whole setup was different than it was on GameCube and Xbox, and nobody want to talk about that. So it was just frustrating to me that was a thing. And they continued it with Wii, and then now they pretended that it didn't happen with Wii. They're like, well, Wii was the best-selling system. When did y'all ever acknowledge that at the time? When did y'all ever?
They kept afford to.
And they kept trying to talk about Wii separately during the time too, and they kept saying things like HD twins and like to create a way to not talk about Nintendo at the time. Like they're just like, well, let's just talk about PS3 and 360. And I'm like, really? Okay. Then Wii U comes out, and they're like, we're going to do nothing but talk negative about this, about everything that it does until the other two systems come out. Then we'll just magically say these things aren't possible on this system. Because reasons, I don't know. Like, oh, well, we don't, the CPU is just too weak. Like they designed it that way because the GPU will do the rest. Like, Y'all know that, right? And so they will openly acknowledge and say, yeah, well, the GPU is really strong on the Wii U, but the CPU and the memory, and I'm like, bro, like, but PS4 and Xbox One literally are doing the same thing. Weak tablet CPU, high end or mid range, I guess if you in PC terms, GPU, and you do a lot of the CPU heavy stuff as a shader on the GPU, and then it's not as much work. And that just frustrates me that watching that and knowing that and having them literally lie and pretend that it's something else, it frustrates me. And even if you wanted to call the Wii U CPU weak, it was literally a choice. But they say, oh, well, it's weak. Why is it weak? Well, because of the amount of SIMD instructions it could do and stuff like that. I'm like, you're trying to be technical in a realm where the technology is changing. Like even on the PC end, nobody was trying to go for CPUs with high SIMD. Like that just wasn't a thing anymore. Everything was moving to GPU. So like why bash Nintendo actually for being forward thinking for a system to say, hey, look, yeah, SIMD on GPU is going to be a thing. So we have a GPU for this. And then bash them for it and just say, hey, look, well, they have a kind of a low grade CPU. And I'm like, well, if that's such a quote unquote low grade CPU, why doesn't it bother all these network engineers and stuff that use this same processor in all their routers and switches to this day around the country? Obviously, if you write stuff well for it, I mean, Cisco iOS and what have you, then it will perform in the way that it expects, which means that don't do high-end CMD stuff on here and do stuff in linear and algebra and you'll be fine. And that's a choice. That doesn't mean that, oh, well, there's less power or you can do less operands per second. They're built in things on that CPU, also on the GameCube as well, where you can do interrupts and you can ask for the next instruction right then. It's not waiting for you to finish that linear math. Like you can do both at the same time. So that really bothered me that nobody really talked about that. And I know, yeah, you got NDAs and stuff like that kind of where actual developers couldn't really talk about it and stuff like that. Especially if you're continuing to be a Nintendo developer, you cannot talk about even any of the past systems because you agreed to an NDA for those as you continue to have a licensing agreement with them. So yeah, I get it. So you can't really talk about that. But how did all these negative leaks get out there, if that's the case?
Well, because you're forgetting about anonymous EAC senior engineer.
Yeah. Never developed a game for a Nintendo system. Yeah. Period. Never developed a Nintendo game at all
until they got fired from EA, and then they have to have their own indie studio, and now they've magically worked on one. And now they want to tell everybody, "Oh, I was wrong," but that's because you're an indie studio and you need
Nintendo's help now.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how that works? That's
funny amazing. How that works.
But so just amazing to me. Yeah, so that continued on, like it just continues, and let's not get it twisted. They tried to do it again with Switch, and Switch was successful just like we were. So they were just, it's like, oh well, we don't forgot. Oh, we forgot that we were that harsh on them. Yeah, that's fine. And then the arguments y'all used are magically not there for for another handheld that just came out. Like, bruh, 64 gigs of storage. Y'all just got through talking about how that wasn't enough for the Switch OLED, which is playing Switch games. Like, y'all say the Switch games aren't that demanding, so that's why y'all don't like Switch games, because they're not that demanding or what have you. And my thing was 64 gigs for that, but 64 gigs for another system, that's okay. Like, come on, bro.
Well, here's the other thing too. If that was the case, if that was truly the case, why did the Vita fail?
Yeah.
Because I had a Vita. The Vita was a dope system.
Yeah.
It really was. Contrary to popular belief, it was a dope system. But Sony didn't support it, and nobody else did either. You had people who played certain games, because I loved it. But if it was so much better and all this, why didn't it sell? Why didn't it take off? Because that's how I know those things don't really matter to people.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it was probably marketing for Vita because there was probably none. Obviously, there's how can I say this? There's proprietary storage and stuff like that. That kind of was a kind of weird instead of them using SD cards like any normal person. But then Nintendo had custom cartridges too, so they couldn't really at the time. I could see why they had that. They were still trying to control the medium in which games were published on. I get that. That's fine. Obviously, they found another way around that, in the console space and just say, well, we'll just have internal storage and we'll control that, versus what the external medium would be. It's amazing how that system kind of fell off because there were some really good games for it that are still exclusive to the Vita, but it's like they had another answer. Like they really had, if Sony tried, they had the Switch before Nintendo did.
Yeah.
They just didn't build it. They built it as an afterthought instead of building it with the PlayStation 4 in mind. They kind of like, well, it's more of like a companion to the PS3, but I'm like, the PS3 wasn't built with, hey, I'm gonna be a companion to this. It was built to be a companion with the PSP. So had they built the Vita to say, hey, look, everything that the PS3 does, we'll do in tandem. So as soon as you finish loading your PS3 game, you can continue it on the Vita. They had to rewrite all kind of shit to make that even a thing for part of my
and
friends.
it wasn't very user friendly. I can tell you that because I tried it with PlayStation All Stars, and there was another game I was trying it with, and it just was not. It took forever.
It didn't work.
Like when PlayStation All Stars, it took about an hour every time you tried to do it.
Which is just a shame because Nintendo did that with limited range. They were just like, well, here's Wii U, go take a shit and you can still play your game. Yeah. Like that's just the thing. Like people are like, well, I could never do that. I'm like, well, you probably had crappy wireless.
Yeah. Which that's a whole nother like hour of a podcast to get into like how you can actually set up your house to have good Wi-Fi in it. But we need to not get into that. You know what? Let's talk about this because I know I make jokes about net code all the time, rollback net code. But I really need people to understand, like, bruh, you have to code that.
Yep.
It's not a switch you can turn on and off.
Yep.
And people, I love Maximilian, dude. He's awesome. But he got people really thinking it's like a switch you can just flip and turn on and off. Like, no, it's not like that. And really, if you have to use rollback netcode, that's an indictment of where you live's IT infrastructure, because that means yours suck. Japan's doesn't suck. That's why they don't have it in there.
Because their infrastructure is basically flawless because they have their own backbone built by the government, so they're good to go. They could be on a train and have better internet than you do in your house.
Yeah, but here that's an indictment and nobody wants to believe it. I'm like, dude, it's an indictment when you have to say you have to use that.
Yep. Because you're out here using your HughesNet ass trash internet and you want to blame, I blame Nintendo because they won't let me plug directly in. I'm like, probably your wireless network, also probably your ISP. Like, bruh, have better internet, my G. And it's one of those things. Like, well, I'm high end and I like buying high end consoles, but you like trash internet? Like, I don't.
Yeah, you like buying high end stuff, but you live in Birmingham. You live outside of Birmingham, Alabama,
with an ASUS router. Like, I can't.
Hey, bro, dude, if you live near a city, if you live in Atlanta, a Charlotte, a Raleigh, a Miami, a Tallahassee, your internet probably gonna be good because fiber's there. Comcast and Verizon probably got you covered. But if you live in West Virginia, and outside of a college town, your internet probably sucks.
It sucks, and you're gonna have to manage. You're definitely gonna have to manage how inside your network works, because the weaker your ISP is, the least amount of how can I say this? You can't afford any degradation inside your network, because now there's going to be even more relay time as far as getting packets to and from their destination. So, and if the speed going out of your network is absolute trash and you're dropping mad packets as it goes out, if you're dropping packets inside your network before it goes out, that makes it even worse. So, I mean, Jitter is lag over time. People don't understand that jitter is probably more of a problem than lag will ever be. Lag is one frame, one packet of information. Jitter is several. The histogram of lag. And if your histogram of lag is really big, or how can I say this? Instead of it being a lot of lag consistently over time, but large spikes, peaks and valleys, that's bad too. Like you can have like, hey, well, I don't have that much lag, and then out of nowhere, giant spike, and then down. Like, yeah, that's bad too. So you have to manage it, manage your packets, manage your traffic, man. And people don't. You had that conversation with people. Now you're being too technical. Now you're being a nerd. Like, but you're talking about frame rates in a game, and you're talking about a game engine that's trying to take advantage of you having shit internet.
Yeah. So what's the? Yeah. Like,
you want to talk about it, but you don't want to talk about it.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like you try to tell them, like, okay, look, you kind of you brought it up, and now you don't want to talk about it because you can't back up your, point. I don't understand it yet. I think I'm going this one.
Ooh,
the Killmonger look.
Black people in games. Let's go. Character creator on point. Yeah, this game is just beautiful. I just been watching you play. This I miss playing it. I need to get back in.
I'm not doing that, damn.
The weird red haze in this game is just I love that aesthetic. Like it's just really awesome to me.
I mean, when you looked at the little anime they did for it when the game released, and you realized that somebody decided to pull a Piccolo and blow up a moon.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, watch the first season of Dragon Ball Z. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, Piccolo, the token black character, without saying it.
Oh, don't tell certain people that. They get mad when you say, "How can you say he's black?" Bro, it's a joke.
Bro,
it's a joke.
Actually, he's an alien.
Yeah, dude, man. You can tell when people don't have. I hate to be like this, but it's the truth. When they don't have a lot of black friends, because they can't tell. Like, we know he's not black. It's a joke. It's just an inside joke. That's like telling people they're invited to the cookout.
Bruh.
There's not a real cookout.
Not a real cookout.
It's not a real. It's not a real cookout.
We're trading you away. We're trading you away like we traded away Stacey Dash. We're trading you away. You're not invited to the cookout.
That's basically what that is.
You get no play.
That's all that is. Like,
we want Eminem instead, bro. You got to go.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. Yeah, man. So these folks, they come up with these talking points, whatnot, and people regurgitate those talking points because they want cool points and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they run into a brick wall, i.e., me. I'm like, I've heard your talking points, understand all the flaws of them, and we're going to talk about why they're flawed. And you won't have anywhere to fucking run. Like, I'll just start and I'll just say, hey, look, I know the talking point is both of the two newer consoles that are out right now are extremely powerful. They have RDNA 2 cores and they have Zen 2 cores, right? That makes them powerful. What kind of Zen 2 cores are they? They're tablet Zen 2 cores. When you say that, it melts brains in real time.
Yep.
I got cursed out because there was, when you're in somebody else's, when they can mute you and do all kind of stuff. They can curse you out and then just then mute you. Then you don't have a response, which lets you know everything you need to know. This is an echo chamber. You're not allowed. You're not not in the cool kids club, which is amazing to me because at no point on any of the Shadowcasts that I do, if I have somebody on there and there's a dissenting voice or whatever, I want to hear that shit out. Like, oh, okay, how you feel that way? I'll listen to you. Go ahead. I'll take note. I'm jot that down. That's cool. Real talk. And I'll just go from there versus, oh, you know what? No, I'm going to mute you. I don't want to hear from you. Obviously, if there's trolling, that's fine. But, I mean, nobody's over here calling people names or anything like that. I made a definitive statement, and I have data to back it up. If you want to see it, we can look it up together. But obviously, nobody wants to do that. So, it's just insane to me. So I will hijack your podcast and tell people that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have tablet CPUs. Deal with it. I mean, the GPUs are really strong in them. It's amazing. It's great. They have really fast RAM. It's GPU RAM. So yeah, that's really good. But I'm going to say what else is true too. So.
Well, that's the thing, because what I was trying to tell people when people were asking me about it, I'm like, look, this generation ain't about graphical fidelity. It's about efficiency. That's why everything can play on everything. No, it can't. I'm like, dude, Microsoft told you at the beginning, our games will be playable across our family of systems. Basically, the only thing you can't play them games on is probably the OG Xbox One, the one that at release. But Xbox One S and up, everything can be played on it.
Some stuff on the base Xbox One too.
Yeah, so they told you that because this wasn't about graphical fidelity. It really ain't. It's about what we can do to make these consoles more efficient. That's it.
You can play everywhere. That's the thing. So whatever, and that's what smart delivery is about, which I think actually is really good.
Yeah, that's actually a dope idea.
Yeah, so they release a game, and they release that game, and once it checks off all the blocks that Microsoft wants, you can play it on whatever Xbox product you got, and it probably works. I'm guessing it's going to work on your PC and your smartphone too via xCloud. So, I mean, you could pretty much stream or play natively any version of that game as long as you own a Microsoft product to sign in, and you're good to go. Versus, like I got people I know right now that are playing Elden Ring on PS4 because it's more stable on PS4 right now, which is insane. Obviously, it doesn't look as good, but
if you got a PS4 Pro, it ain't looking as bad as people trying to make it out to be. It's like, because I saw a guy playing. I'm like, dude, this doesn't look bad. He's like, I know people are exaggerating. I'm like, okay. He's like,
then I'm sitting here
just exaggerating.
I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, this is running on a PS4. I don't know how people were saying, oh, this just can't run on Switch at all. I'm like, bruh. Switch runs at 720p. If you reduce it to 540p for handheld mode, it's playable. It's definitely doable. It's not anything that's.
You know what pissed people off when the development team for Hogwarts Legacy said they're making a Switch version and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's no way this can run. I'm like, dude, it was started on the PS4 and Xbox One. Why wouldn't it be playable?
But that flies in the face of our talking points. The goal is to say that the Switch can't run these newer games since the PS5 and the Series X are out. Nintendo needs a new system so it can compete with them. And I'm like, but it's competing with them now. And
Nintendo ain't trying to compete. Nintendo has told y'all for years that we're not trying to compete no more.
And it's winning anyway.
It's just GameCube. They're like, we do our thing,
and they're like, we're not trying to compete, and we're winning.
Yeah,
they're trying to compete, and they're losing.
Because I was telling a friend of mine, like, the biggest mistake Sony ever made was trying to get into a keep up with the Jones with Microsoft. Sony has never had Microsoft money.
No,
so for them Microsoft to try to do that, because remember, half of Activision's damn IPs were originally Sony IPs. Half of them. Sony had Square Enix on lock to where they weren't going nowhere else.
And now they're over here saying, hey, this Octopath Traveler sold pretty well, and that was pretty cheap for us to make. Okay. We'll do another one. Oh, that one's selling well too. Oh, okay.
People actually like this Bravely Default? Yes, they do.
maybe this Sony exclusivity is really not
working.
To be. I don't see a whole bunch of people rushing out to buy Final Fantasy 13 again. So
hold on, let's just see something. Let's just put Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 and 12 and see what they're selling. All right.
They're on Switch. People are buying them. Oh, Final Fantasy 7. Oh, they bought that too. Oh.
The original, not even a remake.
It's like a lot of Nintendo fans are old school Nintendo fans on Switch, and they remember Final Fantasy. Oh.
They bought 8 and 9? Yes, they did.
Yeah, I had to import 9 because trying to find it here was that wasn't gonna happen.
Pain in the ass, yeah.
Yeah.
and overly expensive. Oh, and let's not remember they had Monolith Soft.
Yes. Yes. And they let them go, and Nintendo's like, "We'll take you. Come, please come, please come." Also, Brownie Barrel, we'll take them too. Let's go. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how like, dude, they're trying to keep up with the Jones. Like, no, you should have kept to your identity of who you were. There's no reason why y'all should have got rid of Jack and Daxter. That makes no sense. If Night Dog didn't want to do it, pass it on to another team.
I'm trying to figure out why they lost their tight partnership with both Takara and Aiding as well. Like, because Aiding
they had the Primal Rage series.
Yes, and they're porting mad games to all the systems too. So obviously they still have a really tightly wound studio and they're future focused. So they're able to port stuff to mad different platforms. Like, why wouldn't you keep that talent in house in Japan? Sony's just like, we don't care about Japan. It's all America now. And I'm like,
and now Nintendo done took Japan.
Yep. It's completely gone now at this point. Yeah. You're not gonna, and all the Famitsu scores are all gonna reflect Nintendo now yet again. So I don't know how there's no turning back from this. Like, they're just gonna be, Sony is an Xbox Lite at this point. That's what they're going to be. And I'm going to hear a lot of ponies say, you used to call them Xbox Lite. You can't do that. Sony has exclusives. Exclusive. And what else were you going to say?
The only one I know of is God of War.
Yeah.
And if that goes to PC, you can knock that out the window too.
Not an exclusive anymore.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Not an exclusive.
I mean, what's the point of you even trying to claim these exclusives if, you can play them anywhere? It doesn't make any sense to me. Is it Returnal coming to PC, or is it already on PC?
I think it's already on PC.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the point? Like, you can't even keep Mark in-house. Which is the grossest play on words, but
that's another thing, because I see people, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow on the podcast, but this whole, they want Nintendo games on PC. I'm like, I thought Nintendo's trash. If they're trash and their games are low res and they have horrible frame rates, why do you want them so bad?
Yeah.
Your argument doesn't make sense.
It sounds like you want to play those Nintendo games.
Yeah, I'm like,
I just don't like their practices. Oh, okay. But you admit that they have high quality games. I think that's the elephant in the room. They have high quality games. They're the first part in the history of the industry.
Well, the other thing too is, if you don't like their practices, why you like Sony and Microsoft? They do the same thing,
or worse, I would say, or worse. Owning games, what's that? No, you got to install them, bro. You got to install them.
Yeah, because I had a discussion with a friend of mine at GameStop about that, because they were trying to get me to buy a physical version of an Xbox game. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
and they were like, well, so you can have it for your library. I'm like, dude, this game is like 80 gigs. I know the whole game is not on that disc.
Big facts.
Why would I do that? The last physical game I bought for Xbox was when Master Chief Collection first came out. And at that point, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I'll get all of digital, because there's no point.
I do like that for OG games, Microsoft is they're temporarily, I don't know how long they're going to do this, they're temporarily axing the license service. So when you put a disc in, it's not going to search to see whether your license has already been copied somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you could have an old school 360 disc, put it in and be able to play it, then give it to somebody else and they can load it on their Xbox and they'll be able to load it and they'll be able to play it. Obviously, you need to still have the same disc in to play on different platforms, but they don't care when you put it in that first time.
They don't care letting your friend across the street borrow a game anymore.
As long as it's that same disc, you could do it. But,
I've never understood that anyway. But then again, I understand DRM. I understand the initial reason for it. I still think it's stupid.
Yeah, at this point, like
if people gonna get it, they're gonna get it. If people gonna boot, they're gonna do it.
They'll just hack the system and they'll copy the keys. Like if that's what they're afraid of, they're gonna do that anyway. So I never really understood the point of that even initially, because even then that technology was kind of flawed. As far as how they ticket, even Nintendo, the way they ticket games is like it. All it does is make it inconvenient for the normal person. But anybody that is actively hacking your shit, like they're still gonna do it.
Yeah, they're gonna find a way to do it. I mean, that's the whole kit and caboodle.
Yep, it's a cat and
If
mouse
there's a
game.
way, we're gonna find it.
Yeah, you're not gonna win that cat and mouse game. It's
Yeah.
like the closest we got was GameCube. That was probably the closest, and then it took like 8 years for them to eventually say, you know what? Oh, we have the entire string of the key on the burst cutting area, so we know. Like it took so long for that to be a thing, but yeah, that's just insane. At that point, it just wasn't even. It was so not doable that people just found other ways to do it. Just like, well, we'll just put, either mod the board or whatever. Like instead of like, we're not going to create these tiny little discs and put them in here and bootleg them that way. It just wasn't a thing. So thankfully, we don't have to worry about that going forward. I guess with a lot of these newer systems because they're just PCs anyway now at this point. So it's just going to be whatever. You're fighting the CDN at this point because if you want to play a game even on a modified system, you're going to have to be able to connect to a network. And as soon as you do, you're bricked. So, and even if you do have the keys and stuff like that, you have to emulate the key system or the entire server itself and go from there. Like nobody knows, like Yuzu exists right now and people were cloning keys and downloading ROMs and all this other kind of stuff. Nintendo tomorrow can say, you know what, we update all the access ways to our ticketing system. And now all the old tickets that you used to have, and even the way the tickets are formatted has changed. And now none of those emulators work. Well, I mean, the emulator will work, but none of the bad ROMs will work. So now you got to find a new way to go pull them off. I mean, that could happen at any point in time now, the way things are going. So this game is amazing. Like you just throw buses at people and explode, detonate everything. Yeah, this is amazing. Yes, sir.
I really need a Gundam game like this.
Yeah, they should do that, and then
at least Gundam Wing.
Like Mech Assault too, though. Like that needs to be.
Didn't they make another Mech Assault? It just the controls on it was just lame.
Yeah, just bad. Like if you could, I would like them to upscale the OG Mech Assault and see how. I need to put my disc in and see what updates they do to it. Because they updated like Dead or Alive 4 and Ninja Gaiden 2.
Which one?
They the OG Ninja Gaiden 2. I mean, not OG Ninja Gaiden 2. Ninja Gaiden 2 for 360. They are they upscale to 4K now. I mean, obviously it's not actually natively 4K, but your TV will tell you it's 4K instead of 1080p, which is great.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with any of the OG Xbox games. I haven't started. I was going to try to run through Jade Empire on it to see how that looks on there, just to see what the differences are with smart delivery and backwards compatibility, because it's just amazing they went back to go get all those games. That had to be like a major undertaking to make sure all that stuff worked.
Yeah, because that's why they can't do all of them, because they talked about that, about how one of the main problems was they couldn't find the licenses for half of them.
Yep.
Which is why this whole game preservation thing to me is hilarious, because I'm like, nobody was saying that when the Wii U was doing it.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's it's about game preservation. I'm like, well, why is it about game preservation now when originally it was not?
Yeah, that was one of the main things that people cheered about when the Wii was announced. They were like 20 years of Nintendo content. Everybody cheered or whatever, right? The Wii U has it, and even more systems or whatever. Technically, the Wii U had the better library as far as like being able to access all of those games, since it was effectively a Wii, in addition to having DS games on Virtual Console as well. So like that upped the library to the largest Virtual Console library. So why wouldn't you want that system if you're down for game preservation? Like you could play everything on it. All the arcade virtual console games, all the Genesis games, all the TurboGrafx-16 games. As long as you transferred all that stuff from the Wii, you could do it. Or if you had the Wii mode open and you went on Wii Shop, you could pull it all. So like, I don't. that never really jived to me. Like, it's just like, hey, we built the ultimate version of virtual console that people just magically forgot, and then all of a sudden Switch comes out and virtual console isn't there, and it's a problem. Like, then why didn't you praise it when it was there? So it is what it is, man. It just man, I'm just over here like I just want another Sunset Overdrive. And I
That's
just
what I'm saying. Like, but I knew Sunset Overdrive wasn't gonna make it when they went at Call of Duty to their face.
Yeah,
I'm like, when they did that first trailer, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna end well.
This is but that game is so good. It
was a great game. It was just the fact that I'm like, you going at the king like that, and this your first game, you may not want to do that.
Yeah. So now I wonder if maybe Microsoft was willing to pay for that to come back, since Scalebound isn't a thing now, and they don't really have another good franchise other than Halo.
Kamiya wants to do it, but they won't,
So you think it's a Microsoft budgeting thing, as far as them like saying, hey, we don't want to, because y'all blew the bank on the first one.
Well, the first problem was it wasn't all their fault, because they wanted them to make it a multiplayer game. The game was designed to be single player.
Yeah.
So that first game, they should have just left it alone.
They were kind of like they were pimping Xbox Live while they were talking about the game in the alpha format. Like, I think I remember that distinctly when they were trying to show the game and show how you can fly around and stuff like that. They were trying to like talk about Xbox Live at the same time, and I'm like, this looks like a single player game to me. Like, and people could just jump in. Like, how would that work? Like, this game looks really complex, but I don't know, man. It's just at the same time they were talking about Crackdown 3 as well, and I'm like, that's not going to work out the way. Like, just
it didn't.
Single player work. Make the single player work, bro. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's the first game and that's not how Platinum wanted to do it, let Platinum work their magic. Platinum know what they're doing.
Yep.
Let them work their magic, and then on the second game, then you can try and see if you can make it work. But I'm like, come on, man, don't sit up there and try to be like that. Try to make it where, oh yeah, we're gonna make them do it. It kind of reminds me of 7G when they was just throwing multiplayer and everything.
Yeah, and that's just strange.
It's a one player game. Stop doing that. Ninja Gaiden has multiplayer. Why?
What's the point? That's not going to make more people want to play it. Like, it's not that kind of game. Like, and sometimes people want single player games. Like, it doesn't have to be a multiplayer game to work. Like, even, Animal Crossing got popular because multiple people were talking about it on social media and stuff like that, right? The majority of people are not jumping online and connecting and talking. They might be now because the game's older, but initially people were too busy building up their own shit. Like, it's like it wasn't even a thing like that. People were talking about it on social media and sharing the videos because it's so easy to share videos with Switch. But initially speaking, people didn't have time to, like, some people you see them online, but they're not like, hey, I want to go to your town and see how all your stuff is laid out. They were too busy building theirs, like at least the first month or two, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But if it's a multiplayer, a heavily multiplayer game, like obviously like Splatoon or ARMS or something like that, then you're going to play online a lot initially when you first get it. But by and large, Animal Crossing is kind of a calming one-player experience for the most part. It's only later on where you get to start sharing experiences and stuff like that with people with, for that type of game anyway. Kind of like this game. Yeah. I wanna blow shit up. You blow stuff up. It's really cool, and then after that, if you wanna share with other people, you can.
Which is why I need the freaking Miiverse.
Because social media is kind of toxic. So yeah, I get why Nintendo like they didn't want to manage anything like that, but it was kind of
they
cool.
were doing a good job.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see kind of like a wall garden approach on it. Like, only people in here are talking about this. That was kind of cool because even like Xbox Live is Wild West. Like they didn't start getting individual pages for games until well after Wii U was a thing. And then when they started doing it, it still didn't matter because random people can voice chat you and just whatever. It's just insane. So, I mean, obviously you can filter and stuff like that across all the platforms now, so it's not that big of a deal. But initially, that was a problem. Like Xbox Live was notoriously like just bad. People just say any kind of thing and all kind of racial epithets and just just insane. But obviously, Miiverse had its own set of problems with people really enjoying human anatomy, which that still bothered me. But it is what it is. That's why you go into different game communities and just talk with those people. You can wall that off real quick. But yeah, those mods had a lot of work on their hands because of stuff like that, and you gave people something to draw with online. So
yep.
So there's always that. I'm enjoying. I'm getting I don't know if you call it enjoying, but it's kind of strange. I'm that weird guy that's playing both Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Elden Ring at the same time. It is interesting. It is an interesting experience to say the least.
I mean, one of them is heavily anime, one of them is not.
Yeah, I feel like I should probably be playing Kirby instead, so there's a good mix between pain and pleasure there. But it looks like I'm
just trying to find all the collectibles.
Yeah, which is what I will be doing after I run through a level or two.
I've been missing stuff lately.
So I don't know, man. Right now I'm choosing violence, and I'm definitely getting it. I'm definitely getting it because it's hard to not be leveled enough in Shin Megami Tensei 5. Like you think that you've walked around the area and leveled up enough, or you figured out resistances enough, and then you go to the boss for the area and you're like,
and you get smacked down.
Yeah, you get a reality check real quick, and you're like, bro, like I'm supposed to be this high, or I'm supposed to have this many resistances? Like, it's insane. They say they still haven't cracked this one open. I don't know if they're talking about Shin Megami Tensei or not, because mine was still sealed, but I finally opened it. I had that thing sealed for a month, but maybe longer. Actually, yeah, I think I had it in December, so longer than that. It's March, and I cracked it open like maybe a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it was time, but I had to go back because I had to play Horizon and God of War and get all that stuff out of the way. So I'll let's see. Let's still got some other stuff going on here, but yeah, it's Jeez, dude, what is she talking about? Let's see.
I gotta give them something. The voice acting in this game is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I did like that.
I mean,
that was right at the end where they started talking about how they met up with the new person for the area. Have you met that person yet?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Yeah, that's a interesting little scenario. Yeah, I like this game. He said, oh, he's talking about Damon X Machina is still in. Damn, that's just.
It's still, man.
It's still in.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, man. There's a lot of games that came out 2019 that I didn't even touch that I'm just now finding out. So I feel you.
I
feel you.
Who are these people that don't have games play? I just don't. especially if you own more than one system. Like
if you own more than one system, you hurting right now because you don't. There's not enough time. And if you're a professional working more than 40 hours a week or 40 hours a week,
like I don't see how you could do it if you were a college kid. Like, how do you have the time? Like,
you used to get by if you like if because when I was in school, what I would do, I get it so ahead of my stuff that I had the weekends to chill.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see how you can do that now.
Yeah, so like now it's like you got to know life games, and these games require a lot out of you because and they're just dropping on Switch like back to back to back to back, and it's just like I just looked on their YouTube channel yesterday. They did like 6 announcements. Like what is happening? And it's amazing to me that Nintendo is actively going out and sponsoring these. Like they're just announced. Before, if it wasn't like a Nintendo game or something that was heavily partnered, that's not something they're going to put up on their own YouTube page. Now Nintendo's like, shh. You get a trailer. You get a trailer. You get a trailer. You get a trailer. And I guess that's their thing. Like how they said in their own commercials. They're like, nobody does it like we do, or whatever, right? So they're like, game. They were tired of the GameCube, Wii, and Wii U situation where they're splitting games between 2 platforms, and they got tired of people saying their system didn't have no games. So like, we're launching. You said we gave a system to you. We gave 3DS to you so the developers could do what they wanted to do. You left us hanging out to dry. We left Wii U to you because you said you wanted an HD system. So we gave you an HD system in 2012 before any of the other competitors, and we let you third parties run amok. Like, there was no Mario or Zelda at launch. There was New Super Mario Brothers U. So you had all the capacity to shine here. And what happened? Like, nobody bid on it. Like, none of the developers bid on it. They didn't want to deal with it. So Nintendo's like, okay, fine. We'll carry our system. We'll carry Wii U to the end. We'll carry 3DS to the end. And our new system, we're going to carry from day one. Screw y'all. If you want to get in, the licensing fee is higher now.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, that's why I was like, dude, you can't. And that was a thing that actually upset me with a lot of these people that were getting mad. I'm like, dude, if you remember, I just keep going back to 2011. I'm like, dude, E3 2011.
Yeah.
E3 2011.
Oh yeah, but we can't because all those videos are removed.
Well, now you can't.
I mean, like, there are some, I think GameSpots is still up and stuff like that, but their reactions to E3 2011, they are gone. E3 2012, you might be able to find some, but E3 2011, nope. I found like one IGN video that was actually extremely positive. That's the only one that's up. And I know they did dozens by people that weren't the Nintendo team, and they are nowhere to be found.
Yep. Because I was sitting there, I was like, man, everybody was loving the Wii U until, you had some people say something.
So I'm wondering how, I wonder if that was a Nintendo thing, because you know how Nintendo everybody says Nintendo is actively striking people and doing stuff like that. I wonder, like, I don't put it past them that they might have went to them and said, hey, look, we're going to send a notice to your channel for this. We're trying to forget Wii U. You should too. And then whatever content they had is magically gone now. They, it's private or whatever now, kind of situation. Which is, if that happens, that's fine. Just explain it. Like, or maybe there's an NDA or something. I don't know, but just explain it. But it's just really strange to me how multiple press outlets, all their negative takes are gone for that system. Like, they're gone. You can still find them for like GameCube and stuff, but Wii U specifically, and motherfuckers ain't blind. If people have memories, it happened. We watched them all. Like, yeah, it was a thing, but they magically went away. So I think I still do have an archived G4 TV video somewhere on one of these drives. I'll have to pull it up, but it was just really weird during that time. I do have some archive video of Wii when it launched as well, and some of those takes were kind of strange as well. But I think there's
that one was the one where they were like, "Oh, this this can't stand up to what Microsoft and Sony are doing. I'm like, and all Nintendo did was pack in Wii Sports.
Yeah.
And that pretty much done everybody else in. Because I'm like, bruh, when people saw how easy it was to play,
that's it.
And then like people like us, we start playing these first person shooters. Like you start playing these shooters, you're like, dude,
it's better.
Dude,
it's
this is easy. I'm like, yeah, y'all done messed up now.
Yep.
Y'all done messed up now.
They actively tried not to put shooters on that system for that reason. I'm like, there was a couple Call of Duties because of money, but all the other ones they actively avoided it. And I'm like,
avoided like it was a plague. But you know what? They brought back the light gun genre, which was fine by me.
Yep. They're like, oh well, they can't. They're light gun versions because the Wii can't handle it. And I'm like, bro, it's still in 480p. It's really not that difficult to do,
and it's fun. People are having fun, which is the most important thing. People are having a good time.
Man, House of the Dead Overkill.
Oh yeah, House of the Dead, Time Crisis.
So good stuff. Yeah, and I don't know if I like Umbrella Chronicles as much as House of the Dead.
The first one was fun. The second one was kind of weird because they were trying to make it kind of fit into the lore a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know if you should be doing that. Just make it like you did the first one, which So, I mean,
whoever's in, like, y'all share the video because for whatever reason, YouTube won't let me share it. Like, I can't pull up this video on YouTube for some reason. I don't know why.
You can't?
No, it's not. Yeah, I've been recycling. I've been refreshing the page like 4 or 5 times right now, and it's not. Since we started, I haven't been able to find it. So,
that's weird.
Somebody retweet this in there, and then I'll retweet y'all, so we can share this video. But yeah,
it looks like well, it's on mine, so.
Yeah, it's just not.
See it fine, so.
Yeah, the most recent one I can see is the state of play.
Oh, okay, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So still. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's just my channel, and I need to refresh all my stuff. Maybe I need to sign out and sign back in or something. But yeah, I've been trying to share it the whole time we've been talking. I've been trying to get in.
Gwen, I did see that House of the Dead remake. I need a zapper for that.
Yeah.
I need a zapper for that.
You would think they would have made one for Switch though. Like that would have been so easy to do. They made one for the Wii U. Like, whoa.
But how you gonna
giant? But.
Yeah, you just got to make like an actual gun like they did for the NES, because like you ain't gonna be able to do like you did with the Wii and putting the Wii remote in, or you can let us use the Wii remote. Wink, wink.
So here's my thing with that, right? The Wii remote was just as blind. So it's not an attack vector if you make the Wii remote connect to the Switch. I think what should have happened is like after like year 3 of Switch, make it part of an update. Because I know what the goal was. They want to differentiate Switch from Wii and Wii U. I get it. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But we know that this is still a Nintendo product. So at some point you could just say backwards compatibility with controllers, because Bluetooth is Bluetooth, right? All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
At the end of the day, Bluetooth is Bluetooth.
That should have been a thing. Like,
yeah. Now I know they're probably one of those situations where, okay, well, what are you going to use for the sensor? Okay, I give you that, but Nintendo loves making accessories.
Yeah, I thought it was cool they did the Bluetooth audio, and also you can use 2 extra controllers while you're doing the Bluetooth audio at the same time too, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. The audio balancing though is a little weird. So depending on what type of Bluetooth device you use, if you're used to a louder volume, it may be a little bit lower than you expect. I think the only good thing I got, the AirPods were pretty good, but other third-party headphones, the volume was kind of low.
No,
but it's good that you can still use 2 controllers while you do that, which is pretty awesome. If they could make it like a support 2 headphones plus 2 controllers, that would be amazing, because then you could really flesh out tabletop mode, because then you could be like in the crowded area or whatever, 2 headphones on and Joy-Cons or whatever, and then play. That would be pretty awesome. But
that's true.
Limitations, man, limitations, because they at some point, the CPU has to handle all that at one time, and they already have set limits of what the CPU can do while you're playing the game. So I get it. But nah, man, this is a wonderful game. And
more people should be jumping on. This is from that 2019 where people swore there weren't no games coming out. Then we got this and Astral Chain, and people trying to figure out which one they were gonna buy.
Man, bruh. And that was a tough choice, and I picked Astral Chain at the time. And
Astral Chain, which I'm gonna probably start doing some gameplay of that. Astral Chain is another game you should probably be on and buying as well. That should be in the library, to be fair. Trinell, I am with you on that Metroid Prime 3.
Man,
Metroid Prime 3 spoiled me. That's why when people say, "Oh, they're gonna remake Metroid Prime 1," I'm like, "Why? I'm gonna need some quality of life changes because I'm not walking everywhere no more."
I'm gonna tell you what else spoiled me.
I need fast travel.
Red Steel 2.
Yeah, Red
Steel 2 and Conduit. Like, you could modify the dead zone, and you could. Oh Jesus! Like,
and people. That's what I was gonna do today. I think I do need to tell people we're gonna do this Let's Talk Live based around the Conduit, because that's the game I want to come get a HD remaster. And the thing is, my sensor bar messed up, so I'm waiting for a new sensor bar to come in. But we're gonna be doing that one. But yeah, Conduit and Conduit 2, some of the best controls I've ever had on any game.
Some of the best shooting, as well,
hands down. But Metroid Prime 3 is the one that if they were going to do a Metroid Prime, to me, they should do 3, because 3 is the best one out of that Metroid Prime series, in my opinion. I like the first one, but when you play the first one, all that backtracking you got to do, and you literally have to walk everywhere.
Yep. It can be a little challenging there.
Metroid Prime 2 I enjoyed. I just not as much as 3. 3 was that game for me. You finally got your voice acting, even though it wasn't Samus. You finally got your voice acting, so people couldn't say there wasn't no voice acting. And that story, when you got to see
Samus is a savage. That's all.
But she did actually have friends or people that actually cared about her, because she had 2, and one of them was a bounty hunter. Then you get the other M, and you find out she did. I don't know why they always had to be the black dude, but
I mean,
that's why I was like, here's the thing. I understand why people want it to be voice acting, but the way Samus's character is, your best bet at getting it would be to give her an AI to put in the suit, so the AI can have the personality. Because Samus is.
Well, that's what happened in Dread.
Well, that's. I mean, but that's not. Yeah, that's not. That's not. That AI doesn't have a personality. It's just not really.
Yeah.
I'm talking about somebody that actually can make it,
talk her through it.
Yeah, and make it like lighthearted a little bit, to where, because her character is so serious and stoic, and let's be honest, Nintendo's version of Frank Castle.
Pretty much.
I mean, y'all played Metroid Dread. Y'all saw what she did.
I'm gonna say I was not surprised.
Trinell, I'm with you on that. If it was me, the way I would do it, just to piss everybody off, would have everybody else speaking English or their native language, and have her speak Chozo the whole game.
Bro, when she did it in Dread, I was like, she just looked at me like, she was like, "Bitch, I speak this shit too," and I was like, "Holy."
So yeah, Trinell, I'm with you on that. I'm actually of the mind they should do that to Link too in Legend of Zelda, have everybody else speak in whatever the native language is that they're doing, and have Link just speak highly in the whole game.
Yep.
That way, can't nobody get mad.
Yep. And
can't nobody get mad.
I think the speaker feature was also awesome as well. I think they should probably bring that back. I thought it was cool, like in games like No More Heroes. In between, you just get a personal comment. That's like a cool little fourth wall break. I like, so like that kind of stuff was pretty cool, and like little cues too, little audio cues for different things. Yeah,
like the first No More Heroes, where you had to hold the Wii remote to your ear like it was a phone.
Yeah, that was a fourth wall break. I like that.
That was actually dope. So that was one of the things I was sitting there like, yeah, man, you know what? They should try to bring some of that stuff back. But yeah, Trinell, I agree. If we're gonna do Sam speaking, just have her speak Chozo the whole time. Because after playing Dread, I'm thinking they're gonna have to do something with the Chozo because she knows where they're at, or at least it's heavily. Well, it was heavily implied in the Prime series. She knows where they're at. She just won't tell nobody. And
they're
here
rebuilding.
is like
They're rebuilding Mother Brain too. So,
huh?
They're rebuilding Mother Brain as well because that's the AI that mapped everything. So
yeah, I mean, she at the end of the day, Mother Brain is well outside of before they introduced Raven Beak, which hashtag Raven Beak for Smash.
Oh yeah, he had a move set for real.
Yeah, hashtag Raven Beak for Smash. Forget Ridley, Raven Beak. Yep. Y'all want Ridley for what? Raven Beak.
Yeah, in the intro, they kind of touched on how the AI did not like the way things were progressing. So yeah, we'll see what that comes to. Hopefully they'll close that. They don't have to close it out. Just like
just explain a little bit. I mean, the only other thing I would want from out of the Metroid series, honestly, I would love to have a game where we actually get to delve into more of the Chozo stuff, and I would like to, but I don't know if we'll be able to ever get that because I'm seeing this as spinoffs, not like in the mainline stuff, just like spinoffs for stuff, so we can actually get to see like other sides of her. Like they do another Zero mission, but this time make it a full-on action game, like in the vein of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta.
Yep.
Because people think she's weak when she get in that suit. No, you're safe when she's in that suit.
Yes.
When she's out of the suit, she's worse. She's way worse. Like she's
a Metroid, bro. Like
I mean, if this was Dragon Ball, she would be on God of Destruction level. If this was Dragon Ball Super.
I'm just sitting there playing this game, and I'm like, they're gonna say it. They're just gonna say. They're gonna say it.
They have no choice.
Like I'm a Metroid. It's over. Like
they ain't have no choice. I do like the irony that she is the last one.
Yeah,
I like the irony of that.
So the last Metroid is not in captivity.
Nope, it's not.
It's not.
But the last Metroid finna go to the Bronx and find Little Mac. Inside joke, if y'all know what I'm talking about. Inside joke for the Nintendo fans from the Brawl era, from the Smash Bros. Brawl era. Y'all saw all that stuff we did.
And
that was funny though.
Since there's always a black protagonist, I guess Doc has to be in the picture somehow.
That
makes it extra gross.
The funniest that was the funniest thing that came out of that whole Brawl and Smash 4 situation was all the memes about Samus thirsting after Lil Mac. That was the funniest stuff.
Yeah, that's man.
Wrong and funny all at the same time.
All those memes, and apparently, Pitt was cheating on Palutena, like just bad. They just take these images from Smash being frozen
and they make a whole fan fiction off of it.
Man, it's bad. They use talking about Rogue from X-Men. Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's a whole love triangle between Logan and Scott, and it's a whole bad scenario. Yes, Samus can get that.
Can .mu get that X-Men arcade game in?
Man, that's gotta happen. Like Konami had
that one.
You saw Top Hat Gaming Man's video on Bucky O'Hare, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Bucky O'Hare was that joint too, and I hated that. I just felt like that game probably should have been 6-player too, because they could have added the extra characters in there and literally used the X-Men 6-player engine, and then that could have been a bigger game.
Look, dude, I'm sorry. After playing 8-player Smash, 8.
The chaos.
Let the chaos reign.
It is amazing too. Just playing with, it was 5 of us in the house, and then we had 3 CPUs on there, and it's just amazing chaos.
Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat? Have y'all played 8-person Smash? I have. I've played 8-person Smash.
Oh, 8 people? 8 people all together?
8 people in the crib. I had 8 people in the crib. It was me, my brother, his 2 kids, my nephew, and his brother, both my nephews, and then 2 of our cousins. We had like 10 people going.
That's insane.
With 2 on rotation. Those matches make no sense, especially when you have full-on items blasting. We have full item blast, like not medium, not small, but like full on. The chaos makes no sense.
Yep. Andre said he said we need remakes of all the old school beat 'em ups to take advantage of that. I'm like, well, they got a Capcom collection. I have the Capcom collection for that, but yeah, we need more.
We need the Wolverine. No, we don't need the Wolverine game. We need the Punisher game with Nick Fury in it.
Yep. Also Konami.
Yeah, that was great. We need X-Men Mutant Apocalypse and X-Men Blood Ties. What else would be a good one that came out that was a beat 'em up that was in the arcade? Oh, X-Men vs Street Fighter. The one that was on Saturn and in arcades.
Hold on. The fighting game?
The fighting game, yeah.
Yeah, because that had
that had Storm. They had my favorite version of Storm on it.
It had the fake Urkel in it too.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
that was strange.
We don't even talk about that.
That was a strange choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting in between game because everybody just played X-Men versus Street Fighter. They didn't get to the Marvel versus, like, for whatever reason that game got skipped. I guess it just wasn't in arcades.
Well, when the arcades that I was around when it hit, nobody was playing it. Everybody was still on X-Men versus Street Fighter. Nobody cared about Marvel versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, they just left it alone.
Well, plus you got to remember at the time it was the 90s. That X-Men animated cartoon on Fox was the hottest thing out,
and everybody wanted to see that version of that.
Yeah. So, and then they put on there you had to fight what was it, Apocalypse and Onslaught.
Mm-hmm. He said Punisher wasn't Konami. I think it was. The arcade version was.
I thought Punisher was Konami.
Yeah, it was Konami on the arcade, and I think it was for the consoles. It was probably Capcom.
Oh, okay.
I have to let me Google because don't give me the line.
I will say this: the arcade one-up people, much love and shout out to them for bringing some of these classics back. I do appreciate y'all for that. I just can't afford it, and I have an apartment, and so I can't get stuff right now that I want. Because I did see the one they had with the X-Men on there. They have one with the X-Men, there's a Spider-Man one.
Yep.
And then they had the Simpsons. That's the other one. The Simpsons arcade game.
Yes. Now that was kind of per Wikipedia says Capcom did this one. So I hope I am wrong. So for arcade and Sega Genesis, it was Capcom.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, who did? Because I know. Well, Konami had the Ninja Turtle license, and they had another pop culture license. I can't remember which one it was though.
Konami had Ninja Turtles. They had the Simpsons. They had, I said Ninja Turtles, Simpsons. What other game? Bucky O'Hare. I'm trying to think who else they had. X-Men.
Yeah, they had the X-Men.
I think who else they had. Man, I'm pretty sure somebody has an entire freaking thing on all the Capcom the Konami coin ops, but they use that engine a lot. Like a lot of games they made. Konami arcade games. Let's see what we got here. But they have a bunch of list of Konami arcade games, right? So I'm trying to see what kind of names we had. There was a Black Panther video game they did.
I did not know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
I know I would love to get, if they ever made a Static Shock beat 'em up, I'd love to get my hands on a Static Shock beat 'em up.
Yeah, they have the final round, but I thought that was a Konami game. That's a Capcom game, but I guess it was a Konami fighting game.
Oh.
They have obviously. Let's see what other beat 'em ups they have. I thought they did DJ Boy, but I think somebody else did DJ Boy.
Wasn't that Data East?
I think it's Data East, yeah. So I think it was Data East that did that then.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was them though.
Because if y'all don't know, hold on, let me go to my thing, because the greatest side-scrolling game of all times, this little gem right here, Bad Dudes.
Oh yeah, that was them. And that game, that game is rough.
But the arcade version was better than the home console version. I will say that. But even the arcade version, like, really, bruh?
Yep.
Dark Souls, nah, dude. Bad Dudes.
arcade.
Then we get the whole title of the game was Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. You're trying to save Ronald Reagan from ninjas.
Yep.
I don't know what was wrong with 80s with 80s gaming, but
okay. So the list they had, they got all the Ninja Turtle games, the X-Men games, Batman Returns, Bucky O'Hare, and Bayou Billy. For the most part, is what
Bayou Billy, that brings back memories.
Yep. Yeah, Bayou Billy was strange but good.
Yeah.
That was an interesting
time, you know.
Yeah, that was really, really strange. Yeah, Bucky O'Hare arcade game, that was good stuff. Turtles in Time, bro. That's the epitome of that game being good.
They finally put a price on the Cowbun collection. It is $39.99.
Good.
There is a price on it, but we still don't. I didn't see a date, but they did put a price on it.
I'm willing to say that's worth the $60. To be honest with you, that's a lot. Of stuff.
That's 13 games, dude.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't need online on everything. They put online on the right ones. The arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, Turtles in Time, and I forgot the other one they did. It's 3 of them that has online play. The rest of them, you don't really need all that. I think it's Tournament Fighters. Yeah, Tournament Fighters is the other
for
one.
the 40, my G.
Yeah,
like you can't yeah. I got to get that physical. I have to.
Yeah, I'm getting one physical, and then because I'm getting it on everything. I will have all bases covered.
Yep, might as well, because that is an insane collection, man. That is an insane collection.
Andre, who has the acclaimed licenses though? Because when they went to WB.
Because wouldn't that be like
didn't WB buy all that when they got their hands on NetherRealm?
What was the name of those games? Those acclaimed games. One of them was the where you're basically the drug task force. What was the name of that game? Narc.
Yeah, Narc.
And then I'm trying to think of the other games they had. Acclaim had so many games, and then all the wrestling games back in the day, they just had a grip of them.
They had the arcade, that 2-on-2 arcade violent game where you pretty much had to do hard. It was basically Bill Laimbeer and Charles Barkley version of basketball.
Yep. So I'm trying to think so Acclaim, man, I don't know. And you can't really, like, Wikipedia is gonna be rough. You can't really run through their stuff. Let's say platform. I don't know, man. They got all kind of games on here. And I don't see.
Okay, so it was Midway. All right, my bad. So
yeah, Midway did, but see, Acclaim did the licensing for all those games once they came to consoles, though.
So that's how. So okay, because that makes sense. Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw, but that makes sense because remember Gauntlet?
Yep. Acclaim would license those once they came to consoles. So like Midway would do all that stuff. Like even when they were doing like NBA Jam and Mortal Kombat and all that, Acclaim will publish them on consoles for the most part. That's pretty much how that went. So yeah, you would have like what was like NBA Jam, basically anything Iguana developed for Midway for consoles, Acclaim published it. So Acclaim would put the money out. Iguana would do the in-house development for majority of the consoles, and Midway would just take, I guess, the licensing rights from them originally developing the arcade game. So, that's kind of how that stuff went for the most part. I saw Narc on here. I don't know where it went, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Acclaim, they published Narc. They published Turok in a lot of cases. They published Dead or Alive 2 on Dreamcast.
I remember that. I remember that.
That's such a weird scenario.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No. Like how Tecmo didn't have the money for that? Like Sega didn't have the money for that? Like
well, you got to remember at the time, I don't think Tecmo was making that much money. You got to remember Sega was bleeding money.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah, it was a lot of people had and then we go down into the very, very low days, the end times for our developer In Space, which Nintendo had a partnership with, and one of their last games was Mary-Kate and Ashley Crash Course for the PlayStation.
Wait, what?
Yeah, just real bad times. Real bad time.
The worst possible timeline.
Yeah, man. bad stuff out here. Like GameCube saved them from a lot of extra pain they would have had to deal with. Like American actually again. But I mean, you got to get a start somewhere, right? So you do license stuff, whatever you got to do. But yeah, they should go back and get some of those acclaimed games. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, man. I gotta go grab some vittles and holler at the missus before she cuts me out yet again. But it was fun, man. So I'll call it a good one, you guys. Hopefully somebody shared this video so we can.
Yeah. Anybody watching, if you want to, please share, like, share, subscribe. The stuff that's on the ticker at the bottom.
Yep.
Do
Y'all
that.
know.
Yeah.
Like, share, sub, and all that.
Yeah, we're gonna end it here. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you. Don't forget, Winging the Podcast tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna have a good one for you, and we're gonna call it a night. So, peace out, peoples.
Later, guys. Appreciate y'all.